We discuss Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts and the movie that inspired it on episode 435 of the Unofficial Universal Orlando podcast. Hey everybody, welcome back. So glad to have you back yet again. I am Chris, your host. Joining me today, I have a few of my friends here. We got Lee.
Hello, everyone.
We got Darren.
What's up, us internetus?
A very special guest, Christina.
Hi, everyone.
And Tracy could not join us today, but she is here in spirit as always.
We'll pull the curtain back. This is another one of those that we're recording way in advance.
Yeah, the year's like 2040 right now, so...
We're still stuck in the middle of 2020.
They probably redid these movies already.
Maybe.
All right, so welcome to another movie ride discussion. We are going to be talking about a Universal Orlando attraction and the movie that it is based. Now, this week we will be covering Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2 and the ride that it inspired, Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts. So, let's go through a quick run of the plot of the movie.
After burying Dobby, Griphook agrees to help Harry, Ron, and Hermione break into Bellatrix Lestrange's vault at Gringotts Bank, as they believe that Helga Hufflepuff's cup is another of Voldemort's Horcruxes and is in that vault. Hermione uses Polyjuice to transform into Bellatrix. Ron disguises himself, and Harry hides under the invisibility cloak with Griphook so they can sneak into the vault.
They eventually make it into the vault, only to be double-crossed by Griphook, who steals Gryffindor's sword and leaves without them. The trio retrieve the true cup and escape on the back of the Gringotts' Ukrainian Iron Belly dragon.
Well, I really did like a quick... There's a lot happened there in the space of 3 sentences. Harry realizes that Voldemort is now aware that they know of his Horcruxes and is determined that another is hiding in Hogwarts. And with the help of Dumbledore's brother, Aberforth, who looks nothing like him, by the way, they are able to get into Hogwarts. Voldemort arrives at the Hogwarts grounds, demanding that Harry be turned over to him in exchange for the school's safety.
Harry, with the help of Luna.
Oh, cool.
Hi, Luna. That is actually her namesake. Speaks to Helena Ravenclaw's ghost, who reveals that Voldemort performed dark magic on her mother's... I don't even want to say that. That's
Diadem?
improper.
Diadem.
Anyways, Lee said it. I didn't say that. And it can be found in the Room of Requirement. Meanwhile, Ron and Hermione use one of the basilisk fangs to destroy the cup Horcrux. Harry is attacked inside the Room of Requirement while retrieving the diadem. Oh, I said it. Sorry, Ron. Once they escape the room, Harry destroys the diadem Horcrux with the basilisk's fang. Sure. Thanks for that, Lee.
You're welcome.
And Ron kicks it to the Room of Requirement to be destroyed.
Voldemort's army attacks, and using his connection to Voldemort, Harry realizes the last Horcrux is Voldemort's snake, Nagini. The trio follows Snape to a meeting with Voldemort in the boathouse, where Voldemort orders Nagini to kill Snape, believing this will allow the Elder Wand's allegiance to pass to him.
I just want to say, like, Voldemort sitting at his house afterwards, he's like, oh, Nagini, I've had such a terrible day. I love coming home to you.
Right, I need to jump in. So the whole point of this thing is that when the wand is won by the other person, it changes its allegiance to him or to that person. But Voldemort, I can't remember if it happens in the books or not. Because Voldemort gets Nagini to kill Snape. Therefore, surely the wand wouldn't change its allegiance to Voldemort anyway. It would change it to Nagini.
Oh, that is true.
So I have an issue with that.
Can it be like a person, or can it be
Especially-
like a creature?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. If you go according to the new lore in Fantastic Beasts, then Nagini is a person.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
But was that the intention in the first place?
No.
Well, there we go. Something
Problem
to ponder.
Harry takes the leaking memories of Snape and runs to Dumbledore's office to use the Hetsieve, and learns that Snape was in love with Harry's mother, Lily, and following her death, Snape worked with Dumbledore to protect Harry, and that Snape killed Dumbledore on his request as he was already dying.
Spoiler alert.
Oh yeah, watch the movie before watching this episode. By the way.
Snape kills Dumbledore.
If you haven't seen all the movies and read all the books, you shouldn't be listening to this, and you're not my friend.
Yeah. If you haven't read those books,
Yeah.
I tell you shouldn't be Lee's friend.
See you, Chris.
Once a week over here.
Chris, you haven't read them, have you?
I've read the titles. Yeah.
Have you?
No,
It's Alexa that hasn't then.
No, she's the one that's read them.
So you
and
haven't
I'm
read
the
them.
one that bought it for her. So it's kind
That's
of
even
balanced
worse.
out that way.
Likewise in my house.
Oh, man. What, you haven't read them, Darren?
No.
Really?
Reading books?
Wow.
I've read them all at least 3
I get
times.
distracted on a tweet. All right. So
I
I'll
read
work.
Stephen King and American Revolutionary War pamphlets. That's it.
Stephen King has pamphlets. That took a turn. Anyway, the final thing Harry learns is that he is the final Horcrux, one that was accidentally made when Voldemort tried to kill Harry as a baby. That's interesting. So he kind of created his own Horcrux at that point.
Was it him or his lightning bolt? I always thought it was the bolt.
I think that's just the mark it left on it to mark it as his as a Horcrux. Anyway, and that Harry must confront Voldemort and let him kill him to be able to allow Voldemort to become mortal.
Sounds convoluted. Harry surrenders himself to Voldemort in the Forbidden Forest. Well, that sounds
Oh, man.
and is killed, only for things not to go the way they expected. Harry awakes to find himself in an unknown place and is greeted by Dumbledore, who explains that Harry was not killed when the curse hit him, only that part of Voldemort that resided inside him was. Harry must now finish the job at hand. Kill him.
It's getting
Finish
even
him.
worse now.
Voldemort announces Harry's apparent death to everyone at Hogwarts and demands their surrender. As Neville gives a defiant response, he is able to draw the sword of Gryffindor from the sorting hat, at which point Harry reveals he is still alive.
I'm alive.
Harry confronts Voldemort in a duel throughout the castle, and Neville decapitates Nagini, making Voldemort mortal. Harry and Voldemort's fight ends with Voldemort's own killing curse rebounding and obliterating him.
It was an awesome fight scene, by the way. I love that.
It was all right.
It was.
I loved it. That's like one of the highlights for me. Anyways,
Neville's retribution.
yeah. Harry explains to Ron and Hermione that when Malfoy disarmed Dumbledore before Snape killed him, the Elder Wand's allegiance passed to him. But when Harry fought Malfoy and Malfoy Manor, he becomes its true master. Harry destroys the Elder Wand, so no one may wield it. Now, 19 years later, Harry and Ginny, Ron and Hermione and Draco proudly watch their children leave for Hogwarts at King's Cross Station with weird CGI done on their face.
I've never realized I had so many issues with this film.
There you have it. You just summarized the 3-hour movie in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't really miss anything.
No, normally I do these things. I put too much information and it's just us reading a lot of crap off a page. And I thought, right, I'm going to try and get it down to a smaller thing as possible. Yeah,
I think you hit it.
I think I
Yeah,
did.
you
I'm
got
quite
everything I
pleased with it.
remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have issues with this film.
What are your issues?
I don't like it.
But it was
Honestly,
the last one.
Really?
I'm so sad.
my big issue was that the Deathly Hallows Part 1 was, for me, the most faithful adaptation of any Harry Potter book to date. It's the only film I've watched that I came out of the cinema and didn't go, oh my God, they got that wrong. That shouldn't have looked like that. That was terrible. I can't believe they did that. What the hell was that? I came out
Was
going,
anyone surprised?
that was perfect. I couldn't complain about the Deathly Hallows Part 1 at all. And then it just felt weird.
Well, I think like most people that do the whole book then movie thing, most of them complain. I can say from a non-reading aspect, right? Like only watching the movies, I thought it was brilliant. I loved the movie. I literally got super sad when I saw Snape die. The battle was freaking awesome. Yeah, there were some weird moments, but it was a great movie.
Yeah, I'm a book reader and I enjoyed it. I mean, I remember we made a plan. I went with some girlfriends. We saw it and we all cried and it was great. I mean, I agree about Deathly Hallows Part 1 being very faithful to the book, but it's not one of my favorite movies to watch in the series.
I was at the perfect age of young adulthood at this point to where reading the Harry Potter books at that time was not a cool thing to do. So I did not.
That's understandable. I started when they first started coming out. So I was pretty much right around their age as every book came out.
Wow.
So every time when the books came out, my mom would pre-order it for me, and I would read it within the first day that I got it.
Awesome.
I was that kid.
I was 22, I think, when I read the first book.
Yeah. Well, that's not surprising.
What the hell does that mean? Tracy read them before I did.
I don't remember when I started watching the movies. I think there were 3 movies in. I started watching them because the first 2 were just... The first one was extremely difficult to watch. Then the second one was After the second one, I was hooked. And that's I convinced my sister and a bunch of other people, you should really watch Harry Potter. And like Darren was saying, at the time, the age you were, right? It's you should watch Harry Potter. It's what? But yeah.
Good for babies.
Yeah. So I'm just get through the first 2 movies. They're children's movies. It gets way better. And everybody would do that. Yeah, you're right.
My biggest issue was there's details, for me, very important details that were left out of the film from the book. And very specifically, one of the main reasons why Harry has to willingly give himself to Voldemort to be killed, because he then gives everyone in the castle the same protection that his mother gives him, and that's not in the film. So that Voldemort's trying to use the Imperius Curse on a lot of the students, and he can't because they've been protected by the same love spell that his mother protected him with. And that's not explained in the film at all.
Mm.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Which I think is a big detail.
It's a difficult thing to kind of get books like that over to the screen.
Chris, no. They literally took one book and cut it into 2 films. They had more than enough time to do it.
Yeah, no excuses, Chris. Where are you, J.K. Rowling's apologist? Come on.
I think it's extremely difficult. I've had many conversations with a buddy of mine who's a hardcore
Lord of the
book
Rings.
nerd on this.
I thought you were going to say Lord of the Rings fan there.
No, he's a hardcore book nerd on these things. And we've literally had hours of conversation about stuff that happens in the books that's not in the movies. I'm why don't they put that in there? But I get it. It's a lot of stuff they'd have to put in there.
After you spending an entire meetup talking about Batman versus Superman, I don't doubt it.
Yes. Yeah. You know how these can go.
Yeah.
The differences used to bother me a lot more. And then as I've gotten older and I've seen more and more adaptations of books to movies, I've just started, if you get the feeling of it, if you get the major plot points and you're faithful to that, then I try my best to be satisfied, because there's way too many adaptations of books where they change tons of things for no reason. Yeah. So I feel like I agree. That's a big part that they left out, but it's really hard to take it from the book to screen. So I'm happy with the way it came out.
See, I'd love to have a conversation like you are like me then, Christina, because you've read the books. I always wonder if the whole story makes sense from someone who hasn't read the books. Because for me and you, the bits that are left out, your brain automatically fills in because you know that story. But for someone who's never read the books and doesn't know all those little details that really do flesh out the story, I wonder if a lot of it makes sense or not.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I was going to say, I did fizzle out by the end. So maybe not so much, not as much as it could have.
I mean, it makes sense as a story, just the movies.
Yeah.
But you do miss, you watch the movies, you're like, wow, that was awesome, right? Great, series. But then when you start finding out all these intricate details that happen in the book that aren't in the movie, it takes it to another level of awesomeness.
Yes.
So I'm not saying the movies suck, but they're not, it doesn't make that whole series as good as it can be by the books. I think that's kind of a, way to look at it.
I've managed to now sort of disassociate the two. So I know the books are the books and I know the films are the films, and I can enjoy them both differently, but not try and compare them knowing that they're not the same thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like anime and manga.
It's difficult because I'm such a huge fan of the books. And for the most part, they got the films right. But there's just, it's glaring little... For me, as such a big fan of the books, it was the little things, the day-to-day, just being at Hogwarts that I really wanted to see. The Half-Blood Prince, for example, is probably my favourite book. And they left out a lot of the lessons that Harry had with Dumbledore inside the Pensieve, and those were the bits I really wanted to see, and they left them out. And for me, they were important bits as well.
We already saw them in The Matrix, really. When Morpheus and Neo first got together. Pretty much the same thing. Quit trying to hit me and hit me, Harry.
Okay.
It's a yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Ralph Fiennes is a bit weird. I find him a little awkward in it. He's not Voldemort for me. Like that weird hug he gives.
I disagree.
Really?
Oh, I love him.
Yeah.
And he's kind of camp. It's just like that hug he gives Malfoy when after the it's kind of weird. It's really awkward.
It's supposed to be.
I don't think it's supposed to be like a genuine like fun hug either.
He never feels so like villainous to me. He feels like pretty pathetic for this major villain. Like anytime you actually see any interaction with him personally, I don't know.
That's true.
Yeah, the only time I felt that he actually embodied Voldemort was the graveyard scene at the end of the Goblet of Fire. I thought he had that's one of my favorite scenes in any of the films. And is pretty much spot on from the book.
Oh, that's early on, yeah.
But from then on, he kind of camped it up a little bit. He was playing like a comic book villain rather than a...
Well, he did play a little evil. I forgot which one this was in, when they're like at the long table where...
Oh, as a beginning of the Deathly Hallows, part 1.
Right. Okay. Mm-hmm. And that's when he killed somebody right there and everything, right?
Charity Burbage. The
it's
Muggle
just
Studies
a little
teacher.
Emasculating when you know that he was like on the back of somebody's head and like covered with a turban through the whole so he's just like sitting there like, okay, well, I'll just wait for my time then.
Yeah, it is weird. But he didn't complain he couldn't breathe under that. Is that too soon, by the way?
Good job. If Voldemort could breathe, so can you. He doesn't even have a nose. Come on.
That's true. Wow.
See, always topical.
I think we beat that down to a pulp. So let's take a quick break so we can pay our light bill, and we'll be right back.
Have you taken a stroll down Diagon Alley and visited Gringotts Bank? Taken a ride through New York with Jimmy Fallon? Visited the truffle trees in Seuss Landing or hung out with a real-life Transformer? No? Then what are you waiting for? At Universal Orlando Resort, there truly is an option for everyone. Or if you're leaning a little more towards pixie dust rather than wands and potions, Disney destinations around the globe await your arrival. No matter the adventure, our sponsors have you covered. Be sure to let the experts at Mouse and Muggle Travel Company take care of all your travel needs, earning the distinction of being an earmarked agency specializing in Disney destinations, as well as becoming one of the first to be named a You Preferred agency with Universal Parks and Resorts Vacations. Mouse and Muggle Travel Company will ensure you receive top-rated customer service. Just visit mouseandmuggle.com to fill out a no-obligation quote request, or send your request to info@mouseandmuggle.com. Their team can take care of you no matter where in the world you want to go. With a flick of their wand and a little bit of pixie dust, the process will be so seamless, some might even say it's simply magical.
Welcome back. Lights are back on now. We're good. All right. So Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts. You guys ready to jump into this funness? All right.
Yes.
So Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts is an indoor roller coaster built by Intamin that opened on July 8th, along with the Wizarding World of Harry Potter Diagon Alley at Universal Studios Florida.
Does Intamin exclusively build all Universal Harry Potter roller coasters at this point?
Seems to be.
What's the Jurassic Park coaster? Is that Intamin
as well? Yes, because they're that's a Cheetah Hunt launch coaster. Yeah,
they must have got a three for, did they? Hagrid's, Gringotts, and then this is the third one.
So buy two get one free.
They make all roller coasters now, pretty much.
Let's hope it's a bit more reliable than the two previous ones.
Yeah. So it has a track length of approximately 2,000 feet, 610 meters, and consists of motion-based vehicles, detailed sets, physical effects, and 3D projection screens similar to those found on Transformers: The Ride and The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man. It lasts 5 minutes.
Wow. It always puts it into perspective when you think about theme parks that you queue for hours to get on a ride that lasts 5 minutes.
That's a long ride, too.
And this one in particular for me, the longest queue I've ever sat in.
Yeah, oh yeah. Like Kong, when Kong opened, they're like, it's the longest ride at Universal. It's 6 minutes. Woo! 6 minutes? Whew.
So the ride's storyline is set during the events portrayed in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, when Harry Potter, Ron Weasley, and Hermione Granger are attempting to infiltrate Gringotts Bank in order to retrieve a Horcrux as part of their mission to defeat Lord Voldemort.
Actually, I will point something out we never got into the beginning. I find it hilarious that Harry's under the invisibility cloak with Grip Hook. Hermione uses Polyjuice potion to make herself look like Bellatrix, and Ron just grows a beard.
I know.
That's funny.
Cool disguise, Ron.
Yeah. I've got an ice cream truck too.
Really, Ron?
Ginger beard must be a Weasley. Anyway, looking at the queue, Gringotts Bank sits at the top of Diagon Alley with a fire-breathing Ukrainian iron belly perched on top of it that we did not get to see breathe fire when we were over in February. I was very disappointed.
At all?
Nope, not at all.
Wow.
Really?
That's weird.
They must have been already cost-cutting, getting ready for COVID. When you enter the building, as long as you aren't in the extended queue, you will find yourself in the grand lobby of Gringotts Wizarding Bank, an incredibly detailed and faithful recreation of the one seen in the movies, and it is impressive.
Best part of the ride.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
spoilers. It is flanked by working goblins and headed by Bogrod, as he awaits guests who are visiting the bank to open an account.
And once through the lobby, you will enter the security check to have your ID picture taken.
Ugh.
Yeah. After getting clearance, you will pass tables laid out with issues of the Daily Prophet newspaper displaying prominent headlines from the film series, then continue down a hall lined with offices. This is a very drab blank hall.
It really is.
I must say.
Yes.
Before you enter Bill Weasley's office, where you are welcomed by Blordak and eventually joined by Bill.
I would like to get in that part of the queue with nobody there so you can hear what's going on, because there's little conversations between like Ron and Hermione going on at certain points and you can't hear a word of it at the time. It'd be nice to get in there when it's dead and hear all that.
No one can hear us talking.
Heard it.
That's all they're saying back and forth.
Possibly. Blah, 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 blah.
Ron, that beard looks really nice on you.
I nearly went somewhere there, but I won't.
Blordak directs the guests towards the vaults. You will then enter an elevator simulation down to the vaults. And this is an upgraded version of the effects seen in Men in Black Alien Attack. Upon taking the elevator down to the vaults, quote unquote down, guests pick up the cart goggles and ascend a flight of stairs to the cart loading station.
Yeah, sorry, we built that a little bit too far down.
Yeah.
If you could just go up these stairs here.
This was it. I'm trying to think back to, because it was about 6 months ago now when we did our top 5 pre-shows. Who had... Darren, did you have this on your list? The elevator?
No, I think
Chris did.
I may have, because I love the elevator.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was, yeah.
Yeah, because we talked about it, didn't we? That you can have 4 different experiences depending on which way you face.
Yep.
Just concentrate
Yep.
on one screen each time you do. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Just tricking your friends like, hey, we're going down.
Setting off along the track, security alarms are set off as a security breach is detected and the bank goes into lockdown. Bellatrix Lestrange appears after being notified of an imposter infiltration and decides to torture the guests by cutting off the track and tilting it. What a scary thing.
Bombarda Maxima!
We haven't done any UUOP theatre for a while. I love this.
Christina's eyes looked really weird when she said that too, by the way.
This sends the cart speeding towards the vault. Your cart is stopped by Bill Weasley casting...
Arresto Momentum.
To stop the cart, just before Harry, Ron, Hermione, and Griphook emerge from the thief's downfall, their cart drops them from a high altitude as security trolls climb up, pushing Bill and Blordak off their cart. One of the trolls pushes your cart on past the thief's downfall, and it stops in front of more security trolls. Oh my. One of them is hit by another troll's mace, but hangs onto the guest carts and sends them falling.
I really like that bit, especially if you're at the back of the cart.
It's a good effect.
It is.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. I like it. It's because it
Kind of
looks
like rocking
like
you back and forth.
they've got hold of the front of the thing and pulling it down. It's clever.
Yes.
Once again, your cart is rescued from crashing by Bill casting.
Arresto Momentum.
It's the only one he knows, apparently. To stop it falling, followed by...
Wingardium Leviosa.
Apparently knows too.
It's Leviosa.
Sending it careening through the vaults. Meanwhile, Harry, Ron, and Hermione are attempting to escape the vaults on the Ukrainian Iron Belly. Lordak appears and shouts,
Hurry, this way! Get in quick! You should be safe in there!
Urging guests to seek shelter inside one of the vaults. After entering the vault, the walls come crashing down and Nagini appears in an attempt to attack you. Bellatrix reappears, this time with Lord Voldemort, who confronts guests, questioning them on their knowledge of Harry Potter's whereabouts and general trivia.
I know you've seen Harry Potter. He was in your vault, Bellatrix.
What were all my Horcruxes?
And that weird face.
Oh, Bellatrix curses you once more, sending you into a lava-filled chamber deep in the vaults. To further torture you into revealing Harry Potter's whereabouts, Voldemort decides...
Here's a little dose of pain to help you remember.
And he conjures a fireball from inside his mouth, which is blasted away by the dragon as it bursts through the wall opposite. Hermione casts a spell to hook the cart to the dragon in order to get you safely out of the vaults, and Ron casts...
Confringo!
To create an escape route.
Once free of the vaults, Harry asks Bill to take care of you, as he acknowledges the retrieval of the Horcrux, and Bill bids you farewell.
Is everyone okay? Hope you still want to open an account. After all, it's the safest place on Earth, right?
Yeah, no, it's not. There you go. I managed to condense 6 minutes into about 6 minutes.
I said, I felt good. I felt like I just wrote it. Have not been at the parks that long. This is how bad things are.
It's been a while. I can't even... I'm trying to think if we actually wrote it in February. Yeah, we must have done. Did we?
Could have sworn I remember writing with you, yeah.
I don't know. Jade might have been with you. I don't necessarily know whether we were.
I didn't.
No, we rode Mummy with Jade.
I remember we only did like 3 rides.
Yeah, with the express passes.
I don't remember.
I could have sworn we rode it.
It was a long time ago.
Did you do it during Horror Nights? Like the first night?
Yeah, but that was
I think I
October.
remember you guys meeting up.
I'm talking about February.
Oh,
yeah.
Maybe it was then. You know what? I don't even remember anything
We definitely
anymore.
did it, and I did it about 3 or 4 times in October because we did it during my Jaws references tour, and then we did it after you and Nina left on the Monday. Anyway, that's by the by. We're not talking about how many times we've ridden the friggin' thing.
Yes, doing this. This was the ride that I've queued the longest for, as I said before, at Universal.
How long?
Not willingly.
What was your queue time?
It was it 4 hours?
That was not
Ended
bad.
up?
Oh, wow.
Maybe longer, maybe 4.5. I don't know. Yeah. But most of that was outside, like in the outside back queue, which was just miserable.
Yeah, I think I've queued out there once.
Mm-hmm.
It is the worst. It's like just being on a pavement backlot, basically. That's it.
Yeah, it makes the greenhouse in Forbidden Journey look very inviting.
Yeah,
I
unless you have a
hate
roof.
that one.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely harkened back to the old days of Universal queues and what they thought was okay.
because when Gregory was part of the team, he did it opening day, and he queued 6 hours.
Yes.
And then it broke down and he didn't even get on it, and they gave him an express pass and he came back the next day and it took him another 3 hours to get on it. So technically he queued 9 hours to get on that thing.
I think Hagrid still beat that.
I think Michelle and Joni and Todd and Maddie did 8 hours opening day.
But they did get a free bottle of water, so yeah. Silver linings there, my friend.
Hey, that's a $5 value.
Exactly.
And their pH was balanced just right.
Let's go over to Christina. What do you think of Gringotts?
I really enjoyed it. We've talked about, I'm not a big roller coaster person, but like I don't mind indoor coasters. Like I love the Mummy. The Mummy's my favorite. But I know that like some of my friends were disappointed because they thought it was going to be more intense of a coaster.
Yeah.
I didn't have those expectations, so I really enjoyed it. And my first time coming out to the Wizarding World, it was after Diagon Alley opened. And so I got to experience Forbidden Journey and Gringotts at the same time.
Okay.
Unfortunately, Forbidden Journey, the ride broke down the first time I went on it after queuing for like 2+ hours.
Ugh.
And it broke down right when when Hermione sends you in, and literally like just right as you swoop off, it broke down. and we were stuck there for like 15 minutes, and then they ran us through it with the lights on.
Cool.
So, which would have been cool had
Yes.
it not been my first time.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
So that kind of ruined the magic of it for me. We immediately were able to get back on, but I had seen everything with the lights on before experiencing it. So I still love Forbidden Journey. I think I like it more now. Like the last time we went on it, I think I enjoyed it more than I did the first time. So that one's definitely grown on me, but it was just a bad first experience. So I think I really love Gringotts. It's one I always have to hit up whenever I go.
I am getting to the point where Forbidden Journey has always made me slightly queasy. Oh, it kills me now. When it was what knocked me when we came over for the weekend the last year. I got off that feeling incredibly green, and then pretty much went straight on Hagrid's, and just Gillian listening, she saw what I was like. I was not well getting off the pair of them. So I'm starting to ride Gringotts more because it's the one I can ride without it making me as nauseous, and actually now starting to see it for what it is. I really like it. I think Forbidden Journey is still the better ride of the two, and I think that's the problem. We've said it so many times on the show. I think if Gringotts had have opened first and then we got Forbidden Journey, Gringotts probably would have been received a lot better than it was, but then because you got Forbidden Journey, which was completely groundbreaking, so everyone expected Gringotts to be the next step, and it wasn't. They were like, oh well, that was
Yeah, I think they could have at least matched the same level with Forbidden Journey if there was a bit more of that indoor coaster kind of element to it, right? As opposed to just like, a little quick stroll along here and another stop and quick stroll. If they would have added more of a roller coaster element to there, I think it had the potential to be the same level of awesomeness as Forbidden Journey, just because the elements that they put together, the screens, the story, the theming, I think it's amazing. Like, I love riding the ride. Is it the best ride ever? No, but for what it is, it's a great ride.
Yeah.
Just wish they could have, done a little bit more with it.
I mean, you look at the technology for the cars themselves, that the individual row, like there's split into, is it 2 6s, but they rotate as well on the actual track car as well. And that's something, I don't know whether people realize that. It just kind of happens, and I don't think you see people talk about it much, but it's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's just the implementation, I think, is the bummer of it. Honestly, that's what it was for me. Is that like you have all this like really cool technology and everything, and the lack of physical sets is apparent.
Yes,
I think the little bit of physical set that you do get is awesome.
Yeah.
That's something me and Nina always talk about when we go through there. It's like, wow, they did such a great job with the physical sets. I wish there was more.
Yeah.
And the integration of the screens with the physical sets when they use it properly is great there too.
Yeah.
Oh,
It is. Because when you got the two giants, they're interacting with you, it feels pretty good. Especially, I mean, there are some seats that are better than others. The front seats in that experience are best, but then, like Lee said, the back seat when you first do the drop is the best. So it kind of has that little bit of rewritability in that you want to try the different seats out. But yeah, overall, I just think that they could have done more. Being as epic as the Harry Potter storyline is, they could have picked a different part to do this in, I think.
Do you think they came at the ride from a point of view where a lot of people complained that Forbidden Journey wasn't, I don't want to use the word family friendly, but it was like, it had quite a high height restriction and it was quite intense, to then go, let's scale this one back a little bit and make it so more of the family can ride it?
I think so, yeah. But did it actually do that? Like, what is the height requirement on
I'm just
this?
looking them up, actually. Compared
to, like, the Mummy.
Yeah.
So the Forbidden Journey is 1.2 meters. Gringotts is 1.1.
What's that in freedom units?
I don't know. Do not have the metric system over there. It's 42 inches for Gringotts. Forbidden Journey is 48.
Okay.
Yeah, it could be, right?
3.5 versus 4.
That's like the only ride there in that new land, or in Gringotts when it was new.
At all.
Diagon, the only ride,
Yeah, and that was another big hit, I think, for me, is like this new land opens, it takes over. Yeah, it only took over one ride, really, Jaws.
Yeah.
But those are big shoes to fill. And I think like when you're using that space, it's like, okay, well, they're going to optimize this and they're going to put a couple of things in there at least, right? And then it comes out, it's like, okay, well, here's this one ride and then a bunch of gift shops around it.
Shopping mall.
Yeah. Which was a little bit more of a bummer. So then it put even more pressure on Gringotts to be even better. In my opinion, and I just didn't think that it matched it.
That's true.
Yeah, but then I suppose technically you could throw in the Hogwarts Express as being part of it as well, maybe.
Yeah, I mean it was part of the offerings at the same time. Yeah, but it's just like the facade. There you go. Of Diagon Alley just doesn't match like what you get inside of it. I think. You cry when you walk in. You don't cry when you get on the ride.
No.
Cry when you buy the wand. How much? What?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one, isn't it? Because, like, look, we've been a bit down on it. I will give it its due. I love what I've said this before on the show. I love what Universal do with their attractions. You look at Disney are very happy for the most part. They're starting to do it a little bit more now, but Disney have always been happy doing, like a by the numbers retelling of the story for most of their attractions. You look at something like Peter Pan's Flight or Winnie the Pooh or anything that's based on an IP. It's just, you get to go through the movie. Whereas Universal have always, even with something like E.T. when it first opened, you kind of got the first half, you got to go through the movie, and then they expanded that universe by taking you to the Green Planet. And what I love about Gringotts is that it takes the story that you know and love and then puts you in the middle of that, but expands so you get to see a bit that you don't get to see in the films or the books. So it's expanding on that story that you already know and could, in all realms of possibility, have actually happened. They haven't just gone, we're just going to take you through. Like they could have done, I think the big complaint with Forbidden Journey was that it was just a greatest hits. I know when Hunter used to be on the show, he always used to complain, it's a greatest hits. We have to have the Chamber of Secrets. We have to have a dragon. We have to have Hagrid. We have to have Dementors. We have to have a Quidditch match. It was just hitting all those things that you knew people wanted to see from Harry Potter.
Just to add to that, the flex on that ride wasn't so much what it was doing. It's the introduction of that new technology of ride, I think. So people you couldn't put like anything there, right? Just put the intro to any Harry Potter movie and ride the Kook Arm, and then like that was awesome. That was great. So I think that's kind of what Universal was really shooting for there.
Yeah.
And then went hard on the story on Escape from Gringotts.
When you think of, Diagon Alley, and yes, it's the only major attraction, I guess you can count Hogwarts Express, but they really changed the way that theme parks do areas like that. That was the first time, that they really made it that immersive. So, and obviously Disney has followed suit with Galaxy's Edge and everything. And
that's very true.
Pandora.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think I get people's opinions and I get their viewpoints. I still enjoy it though. It's never something where like I go on it and I'm like, well, that was a waste of time.
Oh yeah, we ride it almost every time that we go out there. And just going back to the theming, I've said it before, I literally couldn't find my way out of that place the first time I was there. So kudos to them for doing a great job theming the land to not be, just an area just to come in and out of.
I need to know. Listeners, please tell me Chris is the only one that's ever had that happen to him. That is the only one. If you've had anyone in your party, or yourself, if you're prepared to admit it, not know how to get out of Diagon Alley, please let us know.
Let us know. I don't know. There has to be another idiot out there like me. And just to add to that, I did have 7 Wizards brew prior to that. So that also added to,
Is that true, Chris? Or are you just trying to...
No, I was completely sober. Couldn't find my way out. I had to ask a team member, how do I get out of this place?
And he said, you could check out anytime you like, but you can never leave.
But that's a really good point that Christina brings up. We're complaining that it's the signature attraction of that land and it's not that good. And then you look at what attractions used to be. You would have just got, like, especially at Universal Studios Florida, You just got, like, Transformers is a prime example. That's what you get. A big grey building with an awesome ride in it. That's what you would have got. And we're kind of complaining that they haven't done that with Diagon Alley. They've give you the ride, but the draw is the land around it, and that's where we're going now. We're going to give you an attraction, but we're going to put it in its own themed land, whereas 20 years ago, you would have just got Gringotts. You probably would have had some weird grey box with a Gringotts facade in the front of it, and everything would have been inside. That's where theme parks are at now, and us nerds are like, it's not enough. How dare you? We want more.
So you're saying that they had to like spread the funds between theming land and ride, as opposed to just awesome ride inside this building that doesn't have any theming?
Quite possibly.
Sorry, it's Universal Studios.
Not anymore.
Those are studios, sir.
Not anymore.
Not bad.
They're not just shapeless blob squares. Come on.
Transformers is. It's like even looking as far as like Skull Island over at Islands of Adventure. That isn't probably what it would have been 20 years ago. All right, it's not in its own themed land, but there's enough around it to make it kind of a themed land, as it were. It fits in very well where it is, and you walk through it and you know you're in Skull Island. It's not just...
Yeah, I mean, it was the Palace Theater when Confrontation originally was there, so it was not something that they were concerned about at the time. It was make it look like a movie studio and then put the rides inside, because that's the way it is at a studio, is like you go there and you see all these shapeless buildings, then you walk inside and all these movies that shaped your life and everything are taking place inside. So I understand the concept of it, but we need to evolve.
And that's the weird thing with studios now, that it is, they've spent a lot of money and they've brought in new attractions and that, but it is still very much a mix of that old and new. And it is kind of, I can understand that people don't know the parks that well, or who've never been before walking and going, it's a bit weird and disjointed over here.
Yeah, no, I can understand that.
Whereas Islands it was built to be that way from the ground up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think eventually you'll probably find, you look at like Springfield, Men in Black to a certain extent. If we want to say Fast and Furious, kind of, maybe. And then the rest of it is kind of just plunked where it was. Still.
I guess we'll see what next level theming looks like when the eventual day comes that we got Epic Universe.
Yeah, it is going to be interesting whenever the hell that is.
Yes.
But you've got to look at that. That is the next level where you would expect everything's going to be like that. It's like everything's a themed land. Going back to the studios thing, it was specific areas with different attractions in, rather than an area themed upon whatever it was. Like, can you imagine if they did now you look at a Mummy themed area or a Transformers themed area? You're kind of getting that in Beijing, actually. Or a Men in Black themed area, how different it would have been. Whereas you look at what Epic Universe is going to be, and you're going to have a Monsters themed area, a How to Train Your Dragon themed area. Everything's an area the whole area based on a single IP with everything in it that way, and that's where we're going now. And for me, that's the way it should be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because it's all about immersion now. People have done rides before, and it's, you need that little extra something now. That's what people have come to expect. And, all the shops are part and parcel of it. They've always been gift shops and theme parks. And, of course, they've got to claw that money back to spend on everything else. And people drop an absolute fortune on Potter merch. So why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
But one day I wonder if they'll say, hey, we put too many eggs in one basket.
Possibly. It does annoy me a little bit that it's all the Potter stuff that seems to get... Might say in that, the Jurassic Park coaster looks like... You have to bear in mind that we're recording this 6 months early. From what it looks like right now, it looks like it's going to be an incredibly well-themed coaster.
Yeah, we will see.
We will. So, yeah, I think that's going to do it for us.
Yeah.
So that will do it for another episode of the Unofficial Universal Orlando podcast. And we will finish the way we always do, and that is with another Universal Is. And this one's coming from Erica Etchison. Hope I said that right. So if you want to be involved, then send us what you think Universal is to us at podcast@uuopodcast.com, and we'll end the show with them. And for this episode, Erica says Universal is my favorite escape. See you next year.
Guess that wraps things up for another Unofficial Universal Orlando podcast. You guys did all right. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Pinterest, keyword UUO Podcast. Listen and subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, or anywhere podcasts are found. You can find our blog at uuopodcast.com. Send us your spews, which Lou gets your poo recordings, questions, or comments to podcast@uuopodcast.com. Check out our friends, the Theme Park Duo, and our awesome sponsors, Mouse and Muggle Travel Company. So, until next time, don't give up your day job. Say cheese! See you later!